8:43. Welcome back to Breakfast Television. We're ahead of ourselves here. All right, no more British Columbia wines for Alberta. Premier Rachel Notley announcing the ban as a countermove in the latest ongoing dispute over the Trans Mountain pipeline expansion. And we're being joined this morning by Jason Markusoff of Maclean's, who is going to weigh in on this. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Well, nothing like a wine ban to create a bit of buzz on social media. Was this a surprise to you? You threw commentary in a handful of days ago. So was this move a surprise to you?
This is the biggest, it's the biggest case, I think, of a joke becoming a real news story since Trump became president.
That big?
It's no, I mean, it's not that big. It's not that consequential, obviously. But people were banning this about as a joke. We heard one Fort McMurray restaurateur bringing this up. And then we did not expect this a few days later to come out of the mouths of Rachel Notley, the premier, shutting off the taps through the AGLC immediately.
Yes. Okay, so let's speak about the consequences and a $7 million loss versus a $1.5 billion loss on our side, the wine versus bitumen argument. Do you think this play is a large enough play to make an impact?
It's the start. I mean, I think this got everybody's attention in BC. I don't think this was as big a deal in BC until then. For us in Alberta, you know, pipelines, energy, that's the be-all, end-all. In BC, this wasn't getting that much play. They have issues to deal with about insurance, about opioids, about housing. This was small potatoes. Now that she's declaring basically a big, economic sanction on Okanagan wines, this is getting their attention. So all eyes are now going to be on Premier John Horgan of BC to see how he retaliates, or does he pull back this plan to restrict bitumen flow, or what? Really the ball's in his court now to see how he reacts.
Right, and following this, within the same breath, other bans have been spoken about. Do you think that this is the beginning to further action?
It could be. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what you could see a retaliation. I've heard rumors or, talk, speculation on Twitter about them maybe banning Alberta beef, but it's not so easy. It's easy for Alberta to go ahead and ban BC wine because everything is funneled through the AGLC, one central distributor. There's no central distributor like that for Alberta beef. So I'm not sure what they're going to do. Are they going to, and they don't want to shut off the taps. You don't want to shut off Alberta oil because, well, that would make gas more expensive and make it hard to fly planes out of Vancouver and Kelowna. So I'm not sure where this goes, but it could go somewhere silly or somewhere ugly, who knows?
Yeah, it already seems a little bit silly and like kids in the sandbox.
I think we're in silly season. I mean, this was obviously a very visible poke by Alberta, but by Alberta, this wasn't going to damage them, as you say. It's $70 million versus a multi-billion-dollar oil industry. This is pretty small ball, but it's an attention-grabbing mechanism.
Okay, and with the attention, will we get the attention of Trudeau, and how do you expect him to respond to this move?
I think it's raising the stakes for him to do so. I mean, what would be nice is if Trudeau, Horgan, and Notley can get to the table, because it seems like nobody's really talking to each other right now. Maybe we can hash out differences and disagreements and anxieties about bitumen spills that way, instead of just deciding to tick off different items on our import-export list.
Well, that would be the very grown-up thing to do.
Well, we'll see. This is politics, after all. Grown-ups need not apply sometimes.
Right. And speaking of politics, coming up, we've got a by-election on the BC side as well. Do you expect that this will have an impact on the by-election?
This is already a very Liberal-friendly riding, Kelowna West. The NDP don't play well there. It's a safe seat that former Premier Christy Clark went to after losing a seat in the Lower Mainland around Vancouver. The NDP was never going to win this one. This was going to be a win-back for the Liberals. So I don't think anybody's going to start screaming about the fact that the Liberals, still won it.
Okay, there you have it. Jason Markusoff, thank you so much for weighing in on this and popping the cork on this problem. Back and forth we go, BC to Alberta.